Hello, welcome to the inaugural podcast of Kiku Abeni Speaks. And boy, do I have a lot to say about House of the Dragon Season 3. I will start off by saying I really enjoyed the season. The performances, top tier. Emma Darcy, I owe you some humble pie. Season 1, episode, I believe 10. You gave a look to the camera. It did not do anything for me emotionally. But the last 2 seasons, you said, hold my drink, bitch. Hold my drink. And you've been coming and serving and deserving of all of the awards. So give her flowers, because I think this season, season 2, she was really good. I liked her acting in season 2. And this season, she just came to slay. Like every scene that she was in, she said, let's see how we're going to slay this scene today. And that became an expectation every time I knew she was going to be on screen, and I was there with my popcorn in hand and thoroughly enjoying myself. Those are some of the best parts of this season, is when Rhaenyra is front and center. But I really liked Ormond. I think I was not supposed to like Ormond as much as a villain as I did, but I think what made Ormond so great is that he was a villain. Because I feel like this show does things with the villains that add way too much ambiguity to them, where they don't necessarily feel like there's no menace. There's no, to be honest, I did start to feel as if this was a lot of children fighting over the cookies in the cookie jar, more so with a lot more disastrous consequences than it was someone that was an adult on the scene being an actual threat to what they were doing. And when you think about it, really, really think about it, it kind of was. You have Rhaenyra, who maybe is like 15 years older than her brothers, who are just a couple of degrees into adulthood. So it's there was a at least for me, there was a bit of a feeling seeing both sides going back and forth. I'm like, these kids, not that Rhaenyra was acting like a kid. She was reacting in an emotionally immature position. That's a little bit more accurate way to say that. A lot of emotionally immature, stunted adults and somewhat children fighting over the cookies in the cookie jar as if this needed to be a war. When we could have just shared. There was a lot of cookies. We could have passed those cookies around. Everyone could have got a piece of the cookie, but no, one side wanted to have the cookie jar. I think that's a better analogy or metaphor, because I still struggle on the difference between the two. And I even did a whole article about trying to figure out the differences between the two, and I still struggle. So I want to start off on the positive of the season. I stated the performances. Ormond, to continue on with him, the actor who is in Grantchester, that's what I know him from. I have not watched Grantchester. It's in my queue, but because it always shows up on my Prime Video, that's where I see his face. But I think his name is James Norton. I thought he was outstanding. I liked that he was unlikable. I like that he stood very proudly in everything that he was. Yeah, I'm sexist. Yeah, I'm homophobic. Yes, I am hypocritical. I talk that shit. And in the end, he did die fighting. I'm glad that he didn't die in some fashion that would satisfy the audience in a way, like the way in which they're trying to shit all over Aemon's character, not Daemon, to make him just not even digestible, they changed that tactic. With him at least. They made him just smart enough that Rhaenyra would have a problem with him as well as Daemon, because they're so cocky and he's so cocky. So it's like a whole bunch of narcissists in a room together, which was fun. But he also presented enough flaws that you could see why he would not be the one. Like you really were not rooting for Ormond, but you were watching him. You were liking to watch what he would do. Do I think it could have been a little bit more insidious? But that's because I'm a different type of character. Yes. I wish that they had shown a lot more of his plotting, but they showed enough. And I have to keep remembering that this is 8 episodes, not 10. But when I consider the time that they wasted, which is going to be not in the criticizing section, in the positive section, but it is going to be brought up in the criticizing section, is that when you have a time crunch, you do not have time to be lackluster with things that don't matter. And a lot of what was going on with Aemon and his mother, a lot of the essay scenes we didn't need to see. There was just a lot of things that we have critical level time to plot out this narrative. We don't need this bullshit. So yes, I could have spent a lot more time watching Ormond puppeteer everyone around him. I do think some of the time that was spent elsewhere could have been better served flushing out the dragon seeds. Again, it was there. And I think this is the issue that we're going to continue with this season and into the next. I also like that they made him kind of a poster child for someone who looks like you would want to serve them, because he's very attractive. He came across as very charismatic. And it's really not until you get up and close and personal to that person does everything detestable about them present themselves. There was some conversation around the fact that he did exactly what Daemon did, which in this finale was embarrassing Ulf in front of everybody else. Like, that was considered a moment of no one treats the dragon seeds correct, but I'm actually going to defend Ormond in that moment, because we made an exchange. To get what you want, you have to first prove your worth, prove that you are worthy of being given the thing that you want. So Ulf, in the heat of battle, being found on a toilet, I don't think any person alive that was a commander would not have reacted otherwise. Now, with Daemon and Rhaenyra, it was a little bit different, because there was opportunity where, yes, you could have given him the stick, but you also could have also been giving him the carrot. And I feel like with Ormond, it was like, this is a battle that's happening, my guy. You can't, like, what you just did, you didn't even deliver what was promised. Like, you're chilling and we need you. So discipline in that moment, even if it was harsh, was far more warranted than what happened with Ulf and Team Black. But we'll get to Ulf later. His homophobia with Gwen was so unexpected, but I feel like they were making him, like I said, that person that on the outside looks like he's that guy, but the minute you get to know him, you're like, oh, he's an absolute piece of shit, but he's oblivious to the fact that he's a piece of shit. Because see, a weaker man would have thrown up and tried to do something viciously cruel to make up for that. He's like, no, I have a serious OCD around smells. A lot of people kept saying that he threw up because he was weak, because he was calling Rhaenyra weak, and then he threw up around bloodshed, so he was weak. He didn't throw up because there was bloodshed. He threw up because it was a visceral reaction to what is a I can't think of the word. I want to say OCD, but it's not OCD. It's really not OCD. It's there's a word for it. But what his body did is not a conscious decision. Like, that was what was going to happen. So that was no sign to me of whether or not he was a weak man. Even though clearly he wasn't a great person. I didn't think much of him as a person. But that to me wasn't a sign of, oh, he's going to be a weak warrior. Like, he went out there and he fought. He did what he was supposed to do. He didn't cower. He was a man about what he was. He knew his limitations. That's why he cowered the fuck up in Tumbleton. He knew he was on the back foot. He thought he was going to be able to get Vhagar there and Aemon. And then he switched tactics. And that's what I like seeing, right? Because all season we saw other characters get information and then they're like, oh no, woe is me. Or they have a crash out or they do something violent. But and it's not even that he didn't react violently, right? We saw that with him too. And then he pivoted. And then he pivoted again. And he would come up with something else and a little bit more something else. So he was a player that was playing the game versus a lot of people that were just kind of sitting, resting on the board. Like, but I was named heir. Yeah, we gonna get on Rhaenyra. We about to get on Rhaenyra's ass, okay? But I loved Ormond. Moving on to Ulf. Ulf, I think, is someone that you don't give a dragon to.
Oh, now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up.
Again, this was a choice from Team Black. You did not need to get dragon seeds. Are they valuable? Well, as you see, only as valuable as their loyalties. So Rhaenyra already, oh yeah, I did remember that. It's coming back to me when she locked them all in the room and said, claim a dragon or die. Well, as some people say, she was aura forming. I'm like, oh my God, that is 100% what happened. They took all the credit. Did you hear her this season talking about Adam? He came to me. I said, for you? I'm pretty sure his dragon found him and had nothing to do with you. He just happened to come to you because you're the only other person around that has dragons. Like, how could I not come to you? That's the problem, right? If Adam had claimed that dragon, or more like that dragon claimed Adam, and he just went on his merry way and was riding that dragon all around Westerosi, you best believe Daenerys and Daemon and friends would be showing up like, so what are we doing? You're clearly working for me, right? You're clearly working for me. Like, the idea that they would be able to go off and just have a life and him live his life is kind of crazy to think of as something he would not have had an option of. But in regards to the dragon seeds, they didn't need to be had to win this war. That's just what she said I needed to do because I gotta make a decision. It was a decision. It was a bad decision. It was a poor decision. I love the dragon seeds. Still a poor ass decision because you let them claim a dragon and didn't think to teach them anything about, I don't know, how to control a dragon. There's a whole ass movie about how to control a dragon because that's how much training you need in how to control a motherfucking dragon. Additionally, you don't know them. They don't know you. Why aren't these people having guards around them 24 hours, 7 days a week? Give them a mentor, someone they might even like and hang out with. Maybe if Ulf had a drinking buddy, maybe he would have been satisfied. Maybe if the many times he petitioned for his castle, you gave him his castle, he might have been satisfied. But the simple fact of it is, you didn't think to do any background checks on these dragon seeds. And you had time. I get it at the time. You may not have had time, but I think that Ulf was showing himself a lot. Or at least you could have sent someone, anyone. It's not like you didn't at one point have a council. Did you not? You just decided you was done with them because you didn't like what they were saying. That's why you have a shitty ass council. Because they were like, we have to do things. And she was like, no, that's not how the way I want to do things. And that was about it. And that's pretty much where a lot of Rhaenyra's decisions fall. Right? But I don't feel like that. I told you, I'm going to wait. We're going to get on Rhaenyra. Because I have a love-hate relationship with this character. Actually, not love-hate. Because I love Emma D'Arcy. But the characterization I do find less sympathetic than Alicent, which I know a lot of people would find controversial. As one has certainly been propped up as the more sympathetic character. But I do think when you really do an objective, which at some point I will, just a compare and contrast chart for these two women, you will start to see the through line of where, yeah, I think Rhaenyra, and I think I've been saying this from the first season. This is not new thoughts to me. I just feel like everybody else just finally caught up to what I was seeing in season 1, which was the fact that Rhaenyra is her own worst enemy. Saying it for a really long time, and I've been given a lot of shit for it. So the fact that the show was like, yeah, that's exactly right, and everyone's finally on board, I'm like, oh, okay. I was just crazy back then. But with Ulf, I do think if he had had one or two people around him to watch him at all times, because he's the one that definitely felt like more of a loose cannon, then he would not have been able to, like, he's not a fighter. He's not a soldier. He's just, he was a drunken sot when you found him. To think that within, God only knows what the time frame is in this show, that he all of a sudden turned a different leaf. And then you just sat there and put him in the wind. I think she did say, Hugh, watch him. I will give her that. But both of them needed to be watched. What one watched the other. When did you trust Hugh so much that he needed to watch Ulf? So yeah, I think Ulf's turning was organic. Do I consider him a piece of shit for what he did? Yes, I think both are true. Like, I don't think that he's unaccountable for his actions. You need to pick a side and actually follow up on what you're going to go through if those are the things that you wanted. But the fact that you switched sides and then you still couldn't even be bothered, that's more of a deficiency of the man than it is of, oh, you're just treating me wrong. Because they were treating you wrong, Ulf. They really were. I think the first couple of times, like, when you disobeyed orders and you went back to the city after they told you, no, you're on a post. The same with Ormond. I don't think that Daemon was that out of pocket to beat his ass. I just think he should have done it privately. He should have done it with the soldiers that you guys still fucking have. Do you not? And been able to get him to a place or get rid of him. Because he's either going to be an accessory or a liability. And I think he was announcing himself as a liability for the majority of his time in King's Landing. And thus, I feel like a decision needed to be made, and the decisions that were made were not going to curb this person and the fact that they are not a responsible, serious person. I think Ulf is a nice guy for a guy in the pub. I think he's wants to help his friends. That's sweet and nice. Even though he doesn't see how wrong it is to help his friends when all of King's Landing is suffering. So it would be favoritism, but then who cares? Because it's not like it's not what the Targs do. So yeah, I think his personalization was better written. Like, he did not have no reasons to switch sides. But I don't think he ever was someone that ever held himself to a level where anyone would ever respect him. And for people to respect you, you do have to do something for people to earn that respect. And that's where his opportunity is. Like, I feel people are going way like, oh, he was just done dirty completely. Could have been better, but so could he. I think they had more to lose though. So they look more like the clowns by not doing something about it because he's going to be him. They actually had something to lose and something to benefit that was far more reaching than his lack of personhood as someone that should be trusted with a dragon. That's all I have to say about Ulf. Hugh Hammer, his wife was absolutely legitimate in cursing him the fuck out. I think I liked his wife. I don't think I liked the characterization that much from what we got in the first couple of seasons. Not now, dislike. Let me say that. I need to stop saying I like or dislike. Indifferent is what I really mean when I say dislike, because that I don't actually have emotions here. I thought she was okay. I thought what she was saying to him made sense. Like, she was like, come with me. Come with me. We just lost a daughter. Let's start over. My brother can give you a job in another city, so you will be employed. You're a blacksmith, so it's not like you can't get employment. You're probably one of the few people, like nurses, that are still going to always get a job wherever they go. And he said, no, I want to be a Targaryen. I want to claim a dragon. I want more. I want better. And I felt that turn was very sudden. And so everything they gave us in this season was rather bothersome because it very much conflated with what they were previously telling me, that he was a man about the people, that he cared about King's Landing. But then we saw that he might be a little selfish, but he was being selfish because he was really wanting to do it for his family. But at the end, I walked away from season 2 thinking Hugh Hammer is a really good guy. And then he just left his wife. And you thought, okay, I'm going to get this dragon. I'm going to get this thing for my wife, or I'm going to go find my wife. We're going to do something about, like, I just wish they could have done more with his story. I think I actually wrote this on a post somewhere else, that what I preferred from this story was that she would have got to Tumbleton. She's still upset with him about what he did. She gets there, starts realizing wherever she goes, they're suffering for the small folk. She's upset with him because he left. Okay, how you want to make it up to me? Start fighting for the things that we believed in, that we thought were true. And we see both sides are fucking each other over, and this whole war is not worth it. And we're all suffering. And Hugh would rise from the ashes with his wife alongside him, because dying for man pain is getting real fucking old. And that would be what would be going forward. Would be him and her just making a joint decision to take power for themselves, yes, but for the betterment of the small folk. And Ulf would have joined, and yes, he would have been the sot, but that would have made, to me, much more a cohesive story than what they gave me with Ulf. Or not Ulf, with Hugh. I went from indifferent to genuinely dislike him, and he ain't even done nothing. Now, he is a character I think I dislike. The wife, no. But him, I don't see his purpose in the screen time that he's given, and thus I get upset because I keep thinking about that time crunch, about that time frame, and how we don't have a lot of time. And then you gave me an incomplete, inconsistent storyline that ended in, now I have a justifiable reason to turn away, even though I had a much better justifiable reason, more consistent with the story that you were setting me up to do. Where else do we want to go? Let's talk about Aemon.
Crazy motherfucker named Joe.
More importantly, let's talk about Aemon's character assassination. I don't know what. I don't follow anything behind the scenes. I don't even watch in the episode anymore, because sometimes the few times I watched, I was like, ain't no fucking way y'all watch that episode. Because either I'm crazy, I'm insane, or you didn't watch that episode, because you can't have that opinion if you came out of that episode. I don't know. I can't explain it, but I don't. What they be saying every time someone sends me one, I'm just like, every time y'all send me one and I look at it for 2 seconds, I'm like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about a script that was never ever put on screen. But anyhow, I digress. Aemon's character assassination and Allison's character assassination felt pretty egregious this season. Now, I don't even know why. Eamon, we already knew, had deep insecurities about the emotionally neglected way he was treated by his mother, which are very valid things to have issues around and surrounded by. I don't like that they're placing all of his shame on his mother. I think that that is unfair to place that on her, for the simple fact that as males, the idea that she would have even been close to raising them is pretty funny. Because no, she would never have been allowed to raise those children. She did not raise those children. That is something I feel like no one's talking about. But how it goes down in these situations, most mothers are not allowed to have a lot of power over their children. So yes, they are usually taken from their care. She does not nurse them. She spends time with them, but most of that time is taken away because she has other duties that she's supposed to be doing. And those other duties, in case y'all forgot, were running the realm because Vizzy T was chilling in his room with his whatever, his drink, his disease, and his toys. Okay, Otto and Alicent were running the Seven Kingdoms, and everybody keeps saying, well, that was because it was peaceful. Stop saying that. Shit happened during that time. It just wasn't a problem because they handled it. They were good at their job. But unfortunately, that means that she was an emotionally absent parent. And while I'm not going to take all blame away from her for that, because I'm sure Rhaenyra had the same, even though I think she was given a lot more leeway, had the same thing where, she probably had her kids fostered out too. I think when she did have those times with her children, and she did make that intentional choice to be a mother to her children, that option I think could have been given to Alicent. But when we get to Alicent, I'm going to do a huge deep dive on Alicent. I'm actually going to do a whole dissertation on her, because I think where the loss of empathy lies with Alicent's character is maybe not understanding some of the more deeper aspects when it comes to the psychological behavior of the mind when it unfurls under certain types of trauma and stress. And again, that's not an excuse, but the reasoning does allow. It's the same thing with Aegon. I can't sit here and be like, oh, you hate a molester? Something's wrong with you. No, of course. Absolutely. The guy was a piece of shit. He was called out this season as being a piece of shit. 100%. But do I see a through line between him and where he began and ended? Yes. That has an empathetic role. Something happened there, right? Whereas you see a character like Daemon, who I have a lot less empathy for, if not zero empathy or sympathy for, because when I see his story, it's not the same. So yeah, to get off track with that, because I was talking about Aemon, we knew he had mommy issues. Did we need to see him fucking his mom? Did we need to see him kissing his mother? Absolutely not. I think that was, honestly, the kiss I may have even forgiven. To say, it's been a year and a half, maybe 2, I don't remember when the last season came out. You may have forgotten that he has mommy issues. Here's a reminder that he has devolved further into, his mommy issues of what he believes is the proper way to show affection to his mother, who he desperately is needing love for. I could have stopped. It should have stopped there. That scene where they were actually coupling is something that Ryan Condal actually should be banned from several studios. No, I'm just kidding. No, the scene with them actually coupling, I think, was a lot too far. I think it only served the purpose of demonizing Aemon as unnatural and deviant. And that's sad, because this is a boy who's simply wanting the love of his mother, and maybe he sexualized her because that's the only way he's ever known love. But I think that he would accept a maternal overture from his mother. And I feel like they just said no, he just wants to fuck his mommy. It was bad enough with Damon. I don't even know why they're trying to put, and it's a very outdated Freudian thought that they were really exploring here. And that kind of shows me where their educational level, that sounded mean. It shows me where their maturity level is when it comes to this type of content, because it could go there. It just didn't need to go there. If you are trying to then have him be a person who would look at his brother and go to his knees and beg for forgiveness and say, look, I was just jealous of you. Maybe I did the wrong thing. And Aemon has been shown as someone like he didn't kill Lucerys and go, look at me, I'm a badass. He's someone who's always been dealing with a deep insecurity, who was bullied as a child, who has a reason to feel the way that he feels. And all of that legitimacy of misunderstood and why he's maybe putting on a persona that doesn't match the broken child that he was, to trash that for some, I just want to put my dick in my mom. It's a huge miss for me on the interpretation of what that complex issue was to begin with. Am I making sense here? I don't know if I am. Aemon himself was wasted at Harrenhal. I felt literally the same about Daemon in Harrenhal as I felt about Aemon in Harrenhal. I don't like Alice. Even with her story this episode that came 3 seasons too late. There was another podcast that said Ryan, they name checked him, so I'm going to check him as well. But I think to a certain extent, they were saying the writers are brilliant because they're all these things people are concerned about. They're totally addressing them. And I'm like, I don't know how you came to that conclusion, because I do know what it feels like. And maybe it's because I watched Westworld, the first season, of what an intentional show of, no, I'm plotting this seed, and then we're going to come back and it's going to be, and you're going to be like, I know what a plotted out series looks like. And I know what an aftermath. Oh, we got to clean this up in the aftermath. All these criticisms. Okay, we're going to address them this season in the aftermath. That's what I felt they've been doing the entire time. I don't feel like there's been some charted out. We planned on having Helena pregnant, and that's how we were going to do the Maelor situation. I don't fucking for 1 second believe that was in anybody's plan. They was going to skip that shit until everyone was like, okay, that's a really big thing. You can't just erase a person. R.I.P. Nettles. You can't just erase a person that clearly was around. And it wasn't even like he wasn't a person. He was a 3-year-old child. So this whole, we're just going to make that. No, it's called, I want to shut up the book readers by putting it in the show by saying, see, it was there. You're kind of, yeah. I've said all I need to say on that. But yeah, Aemon was a waste for me, which is sad because I thought his characterization in season 1 was probably one of the leading characterizations I was looking forward to. And since then, it started season 2 where they just, they really did. And the thing of it is, he's supposed to be just as badass as, maybe not as sophisticated, but he has all of the same characteristics as Daemon. He's deeply into the Valyrian. He's deeply into the culture. He is a badass warrior. We all forgot that Cole was better than fucking Daemon because he beat him in that tournament. All right. He was the best sword in the kingdom. The best sword. So he was taught by the best sword. So he has skill set. They gave him just a taste, but they said he can't outshine Daemon. And that I stand by that. I stand by that statement that I think that someone was passed a note and they said he cannot outshine Daemon. And that's what happened to Aemon. Aegon. Tom Glenn Carney, he makes Aegon. He makes Aegon work. He's made Aegon work since the beginning. If you did not have Tom Glenn Carney, then Aegon is a character I think everyone would absolutely not care about every time he was on screen and probably would be angry that you kept showing him on screen. Not only does the actor sell the character so well and gives him, I think, this comedic edge that I don't think is written in the script, because he is a child. He's an emotionally stunted child. That's what he's always been, who was very much physically, I think, and emotionally neglected by his parent. We saw Viserys a little bit, but every time he looked down at them, he looked like he was like, ugh, these fucking high tower boys. It just looked like he never cared. Like he did, but he didn't. Like he liked seeing his kids. I think he loved his kids, but he never emotionally invested in his children the way he emotionally invested in Rhaenyra. Like she was the only person that got that person, that got that father figure in his life, which is why I don't like when people keep saying that Alyssa is the reason why. No, they both were terrible parents. Alyssa is just the one that I think, in my opinion, made an effort, but the effort was just so not within what she was able to give that it was a double tragedy. Because I do think that there was a part of her that wanted to love her children. But I think she also saw that they were deeply corrupted by King's Landing, by everything that was her father. Because y'all forget season 1. Season 1, Viserys was nasty. He was nasty. He was looking at the maids. He had all that sex shit all over the castle. Yeah, this is what they grew up with. So not only did they grow up with a mother that the more they aged, the odder it probably got. Because you forgot she had her first kid at 15, probably had her second at 16, had her third at 17, and her fourth at 18. So then you're dealing with a mother that's close, appealingly, apparently to you in age than say some other mothers, right? All of that. All of that was never going to make a person that was going to be good, on the side of good. But there always was something that I think, again, the actor played within the character where you could see this human through the monster. And I don't even think that he thought what he was doing was like, see, we keep seeing that the monster because we're looking through modern eyes. Like, yeah, no, a man that molests a woman, even if she's a maid, is a monster, right? But in their time period, this was normal. It sucks, but it was normal. It was normalized behavior. You might even be considered stupid or dumb or less than if you weren't. So there is that toxic masculinity going on that he was heavily indoctrinated into. Like, people don't bring this up. There is history within Westeros that I've read where people don't act a certain way that a king is expected to act, and their credentials are taken away. They're thought less of or less respected just because they're not doing things in the Targ way. So there's also the idea that to be even successful, I think this was done really well with the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, when you saw that internal rivalry that continues. Right? Because we won't even talk about the Blackfire Rebellion, about what that's all about, which is basically legitimized bastards and unlegitimized bastards fighting over the crown. So yeah, this idea, that he's a terrible person and thus that was all that he was ever going to be, that's one that was kind of his birthright. But he tried to do something that was different. I know I'm not going to be a good king, so I'm not stepping up to the plate. Had to be dragged to the plate. Only decided to accept being king when his mother told him that his father wanted to, and he thought that was the last thing he could do to earn his father's respect. Like, oh, you did really want me to be king? Okay, fine. Even though you're dead, I still want to make you proud by being king. And then what's the first thing he did? He did something that I didn't even see Rhaenyra do, which is actually listen to the small folk and care. Like, not pretend to care. Like, that was a surprising thing for Aegon that I think is easily forgotten, that he sat in that room and saw that man and his cows and genuinely was sitting there like, oh, that sucks for you. I'm going to get you some more cows. Like he was a terrible man, but I do think that there was parts of him, if it could have been nurtured, that would have made him a better man. Is it too late for that? I don't know. I think maybe so. I think maybe there are some lessons he probably learned. I think he will come back with a little bit more humility. At that moment he had with Sunfire, that was the bomb ass scene of the entire, I won't say the entire season. That's not true. That would not be true. That's top 3 though of the entire season. Best scenes was that speech and then Sunfire showing up as if Sunfire was dead. I heard all of the commentary trying to substitute Sunfire for Cannibal.
No! Hell no!
I'm sorry, but that's hypocritical. Don't. No, there are things going off book, but there are some things I feel like you just don't mess with. Even if you have access to it, it's like, okay, if you want to make your own movie, your own fanfic, we have a whole forum called archive of our own where you can put that information. But I was never down with Sunfire because one, Cannibal, that's what makes him badass. Like you can't take away the one thing that makes the dragon the dragon. He's the cannibal because he goes around killing other dragons and he's a free dragon. If you were to tame him or have Aegon tame him, that would take I don't know, just because you want to see the cannibal, we can have the cannibal and it didn't need to go that way. So yeah, I was not down, at least needless to say, with that type of commentary. I was like, yeah, no, Sunfire is absolutely alive. They would not take the practical effects to show Sunfire if they were not intending to show that he was alive. I knew it was going to happen. I did have that much faith. I was like, look, he's been fucking around. But that, I don't think you could have changed that. Some people were like, well, maybe that don't even need to happen. I'm like, come on now. I need some of y'all I get that you're not as attached to the text. Okay. But let's be real. If they had done anything to change the Red Wedding, you would have lost your shit. So don't act like some things are not sacred turning point events that I think we all can agree when you're reading a story. We're just like, no, you're looking forward to that because of that being so impactful to you emotionally. Right? I do think some things you can't mess with. What else do we want to say about what topic are we on? I'm losing track because I didn't even intend for this to be that long, but I did want to go through most of the stuff. So where were we at? Oh, Aegon. I think I just love Tom Glencarney. But actually, I feel a lot of empathy for Aegon. I think it would be a better story if they actually showed that he does have a change of heart and an upward trajectory. But by the time he gets to the throne, nobody wants him. And because of book spoilers happen. I think that would be a way more interesting story than he continues on, and where they're going to end the season, because woof, do they have a lot to cover for season 4 in 8 episodes. Yeah, I don't think it's going to go nearly as far as they're going to take it as it does at the end of the dance with the aftermath and the cleanup and a lot of his particular story. I think that they're going to give that something that feels more aligned with that. But I think it would be great, because another part of that, I can't get into it, spoilers. But another part of that is that I do think that it would be nice to have one green to have a redemption arc the way they made Daemon have a redemption arc. Or maybe 2 greens, maybe season 4, and that's not happening. I was going to say amen, but I think, no, I think I've had all enough I can handle of Aemon. I don't want it anymore. I just don't want it. I don't want Alice and her witchiness in the castle. I wanted her to be an interesting character so bad because I love witches in castles. I wanted her to have a plan. I wanted her to have a game plan. I wanted her to be out for the realm. I wanted her to have such a higher plane of existence above what the tangible petty human things going on. But no, They used all of what she was bringing just to bring that element into the story. That's 100% what I believe that was for. And it ended with a lot of disappointment. I no. I was down for Alice in season 2. I was not down for Alice at all in season 3. I was like, that's officially when I said, okay, so I got her and not Nettles. Okay. I mean, you made these decisions, okay? You made these decisions. So yeah, Aegon, the Laris story, it was funny. It was funny. He got humbled, but he also showed that he can defend himself. He's not as weak as he has a lot to learn, but he has no mentors. But that was Aegon. I like Aegon as a character study, not as a person, as a character study. And I'm most looking forward to seeing what he does because I want to see the actor more, and I don't want to see a lot of people that I saw this season dominating the screen in season 4. Way more of him. Who else? Okay, let's get to our big 2 because this will go on forever if I don't hit the points of the big 2. Or actually big 3. Let's just cover Cole. Yeah, we could throw Cole in there because I haven't cared about Cole for a really long time. His death, a lot of people were really like happy and celebrating. I'm like, I wish I could feel anything. I don't even feel happy, and I don't even like that motherfucker. I do think though he was given way worse. This is for me personally. I do think that I was way more empathetic for him than a lot of other people. Honestly, I don't think anybody liked Cole by the time Cole showed up in season 2, he was hated. I think everybody's been waiting for his death for almost however many episodes between the moment he broke up with Rhaenyra and the moment that he died. That's how long everyone's been waiting for Cole to die. I don't want to because I feel like this is energy that's wasted trying to explain Cole as a character, but I do think there was something to the fact that he went nihilistic with reasons. And I don't think those reasons were invalid. I think that for someone of where he came from with a lot of pride around his name and his house and the sword that he had to prove, like he was more the true definition of a knight. When he showed up, he looked like he came from A Knight's Tale, the movie. But the real story for the overall takeaway for his story was how really honor does not fully exist in this realm in the way in which he naively went into it thinking honor existed. And that does say something to be like, we're men, we can fight, but what are men against dragons? And I thought that was a fair bit of, and the fact that he was used by all sides. He was. That is something that is going to make you bitter. It's being used. Some people still think he like, oh, he should have this, that, and like how you would have reacted and how this one person react is different, right? Some people they're able to do this. The thing I always go is I wish I would see half of this betterment of personhood in real life because it'd be missing. I see more people acting like Cole than I do people saying how they would have acted. Let's just say that much. So he died. And he died by a woman. And I think that's the icing on the cake for him. Unceremoniously, he died. And no one cared. Absolutely not. Like, they didn't even need to put his head on a spike. That's how much nobody gave a fuck. I don't think he was even mentioned anywhere except for Gwaine. And that's because he just left him. And he spent a lot of time with him. But they weren't really friends. I just think he's like, oh, I'm more the man that I thought was worthy of respect. And I think at some point Cole was. I just think those times were very short-lived. Like they gave him a very short window of being a character that matched the one we were introduced to. And this is where we have problems with the narrative a lot. 'Cause it's not at all. a through line, organically through line with all of the characterizations. So I guess this is time for Damon. We'll throw some other names that we don't care about, like Mysaria, in here too. So let's start with Damon and Rhaenyra. These two little megalomaniacs. I think that the biggest issue with Rhaenyra is that she went, I'm the heir to the throne. My dad said I'm the heir to the throne and that I get the throne. And so I deserve it. And so you give it to me.
Boy, if you don't get...
And I do mean that in the petulant way in which I stated it. And that's her biggest issue. She did not at all think that this throne entitled work. Her and her father both. Like, yes, I can blame her from the moment that she was old enough to start bringing bastards into the equation. But up until that point, yeah, Viserys, you can't just name an heir and be like, oh, you're my cupbearer for all of 2.2 seconds. And then you are doing what? Are you being introduced to households? Are you going around? Are you creating allegiances? You started marriage pacts when your kids were already, and then started marriage pacts with them bastards. Like everybody in the 9 kingdoms don't know that you have fucking bastards, which is part and parcel of why people turned against you in the first place. Why is this not more heavily discussed? And I do mean this from everywhere that I hear it, except for a few places, because Crazy Stupid Podcast is the only one that's been speaking facts all season without any bias, and I respect them for them. But seriously, the Westerosi secession is a very serious matter. And as far as I'm concerned, Rhaenyra forfeited her right to the throne when she did not delegitimize. She did not, delegitimize her bastards. I think that is the right word. Because everyone knows that they're bastards, but she passed them off as Laenor's. I can't remember his name. The guy that's still alive. So not only that, she's practicing bigamy. We won't even go there. Because she's still married. I just want y'all to know this is the really fucked up thing that I really feel as if it is being tiptoed around. I don't know, maybe because it's not politically correct to say so. And we're supposed to be rooting for her, but I think you can root for her and still point out, like, yes, Rhaenyra, I wanted you to take the crown. I think out of everybody, it doesn't even really matter. It doesn't matter if you're Aegon or if you're Rhaenyra, you both suck, and thus you both are equally in the line to take the throne if you could prove yourself to take the throne. Like, as far as who had the right to the throne, I think both of them really didn't have the right to the throne in the first place. So her idea of my dad said so, yeah, but your dad also knew the minute you had those bastards that you kind of threw in the towel because you created this thing called a succession crisis. And if you don't know anything about Westerosi law, which is something that Viserys did mention, because someone said that Viserys is the law, and I was like, so I'm not trying to take away all power from the kings, because clearly kings do have power, but there is also a law. They are subjective to the law. And if you know a lot more about Westerosi history, you will know that, yeah, even the king isn't above the law. So going back to what Viserys said, yeah, he's not above the law, which is why he knew keeping those bastard kids and not delegitimizing them was going to make it harder for her to claim the throne, because per Westerosi, a bastard cannot inherit the throne. Only the king can legitimize them, which he did not, because and even so, they cannot be legitimized to actually take up power. Like, it's very limited. Again, going back to the Blackfire Rebellion, that's why. Like, if you need to know why it's a problem, they find out. If Rhaenyra had lived long enough, she would have found out why her children being bastards were a problem. Like, I don't have a problem with her having a love affair with a man that she clearly had in an open relationship. Like, no, of course, live your life, girl. Be who you're going to be. But this is the thing. And this is the thing, no matter where you are in life. If you want certain things, you have to make certain sacrifices to get certain things, which means you have to toe a political line, especially if you're going in a political environment. You cannot run for president of the United States of this country and be a criminal, right? You cannot. I say that. Okay, so it was so you cannot. It was at one point when we were all on the same page of sanity. You cannot become president if you had a criminal record. If you did something that, like most people, if they have scandals in their background, right? Like there used to be a precedent, and maybe that's why the Reddick is so forgiving, where you have to act the part. And that's going to require you to do things in a way that maybe you don't want to do. And that's okay. There's a choice that needs to happen. I don't want this because I want to play house. I want to raise my bastards. I want them to inherit shit. I want to know. She wanted everything. She wanted the bastards, the lovers. She wanted the Damon. She wanted Lenore, what's his name? Lenore? Was it Lenore? To be happy. And they arranged that everything they did was selfishly because I wanted it for personal reasons. They did not think about the consequences of their actions. And putting the realm, like if the realm is not going to look at those three boys. So not only are you talking about one in Jace, you literally have nothing but bastards lined up to taint and you think it's okay because I'm a Targaryen. I have the blood. Who cares about strong? But you don't understand that now opens the strongs and their alliances. Like it's not okay. That's all I have to say. Westerosi law does not allow for bastards to inherit the throne if they were born in the way in which she was born. And even so, even if she did let me legitimize them, it still is not going to be, you just literally started a war. That's all. That's the better way of saying that. You started a war with those bastards, which is why Allison kept getting indignant every time she presented one. Like, girl. And her daddy over there being like, I don't see the problem. He knew the problem. I've said this a couple of times. He smelled the dank coming up river or down river, and he pretended like that smell wasn't getting stronger and stronger, worse and worse, because marrying Damon, also problem. That's why she was banished to Dragonstone. If you guys don't remember this part of the story, this is why she was there. They married in secret. And Damon, nobody likes Damon. Damon is a wild card. And when you hear Damon talk, you know why. Right? That is not a man who needs to be near any decisions. There was a meme going out there saying that Damon should be listened to. I said, well, okay. Let me slow that down. Because I think Damon has points. Should he be listened to? Absolutely not. Because if you're listening to Damon, we're just going to burn everything and we're going to be like Aegon the Conqueror and then everyone's going to be subservient to me. Like he's living in La La Land. Like he's living in a universe where he thinks that all he has to do is subjugate a people and then he has everything that he wants. And that's just not how it ever happened. I feel like he didn't read no history books. I feel like he need to pick up some. Because like, what? How did that go with Dorne? How did it go? So I'm pretty sure it did not go. Like people can't fight, but actually the worse you are, sometimes the worse you are, the more you get people to fight back. This is such a silly thing that sometimes you hear tyrants say. It's why authoritarianism really don't work. It may work for a while, but it is not a long-term sustaining plan. Mainly because people are going to people. And even if you subjugate one generation, you best believe you now have another one growing up with the biggest chip on their shoulder. And guess what? You may have 6 dragons, but there are billions of people on the planet. All they have to do is take care of you. And you are this thing called a human. And you are going to do things like get older, be feeble. Like there's that. It's such a short-term thought process that no, Damon needs to be further away from everything. The best scene in the episode is when the gold cloaks walked out on him because he could not actually come up with something that is tangible. And I think that was the lesson, right? Oh, I could just tell everybody what to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not pay me? Because we're all in danger. You're not protecting me, even though you got this big ass dragon. Right? You think you can solve that's Damon's issue. I can solve it with a dragon. You come to him about any problem, I can solve it with a dragon. He is not to be listened to. He needs to be sat down. Better yet, he needs to be used where he's best used. Go to battle, Damon. Here, go. Just, shh. If I was Rhaenyra, I'd be like, no. Baela, you don't go looking for, for Aemon. Damon, that is now your job. That is what Rhaenyra should have done the minute. And not only that, I bet you his ass would have got it done. I think he would have got it done. I really think he would have got it done. What else do I want to say with Daemon? Because there was not a lot other than I just needed, let me tell you something. By the time he talked to her in this finale episode and they was in that bedroom, literally yelling at my screen.
Shut the fuck up. God damn, nigga.
That deal was made, though. I feel like he should have ran that by his boss. Considering, right? Because Damon knows that Alicent technically gave them the castles. Like, this is another thing. Girl, she's talking about she earned the throne. I'm like, girl, you ain't earned shit. Even the fucking throne room, you didn't actually win that. It was given to you. To Daemon, that deal that Corlys gave, I thought that was a pretty good damn deal. I think he should have taken that deal. I think that at least would have calmed tempers down. It would have got Corlys back on your side, which you do need him back on your side because look at the men. They went to this, Alan barely got them to want to actually police King's Landing. And I have a feeling once they hear that Corlys might have changed it soon, or even if that might not be heard, I don't know. But I definitely think they're abandoning their post. Absolutely abandoning their post. Because they have no reason whatsoever to be serving her when Alan only been there for 2 seconds. Like, I feel like he better have had the ring. I didn't catch it if he had the ring to the hand of the king. Because if I was one of those others, I'm like, who the fuck is you? Maybe he got introduced. I don't know. But yeah, I thought that he should have ran that by the bosses because that would have gotten rid of Ormond. It also really, really, really would have actually been the solution she needed to change the tide to solidify her reign, because then they could have easily boxed in Ormond and Aemon and Aegon and handled them all together. But no, Daemon thinks that he's not a person that believes in conciliation. He's not a person that believes in peace. He believes that I can win everything and I don't feel it. That's like, even in the humiliation of Gwaine, he don't know Gwaine. But he has a hatred for high towers. See, that's the difference. That's the fucking difference. See, he doesn't even want to like, he's very driven not by political aims, but by personal vendetta. And personal vendetta, it makes for the sloppiest of decisions because you're thinking emotionally, not rationally. And rationally, that deal should have been fucking made. Not only and Gwaine's like speaking against his own team. He's like, I don't want this shit to happen. I'm letting you know, like, I'm being reasonable. He's literally that person who can speak on behalf. Cause ain't he, after Ormond, gonna be the head of Hightower, the House of Hightower? So yeah, I do think at that moment he was like, "Ooh, you're a green. I can't fuck with you. You're a Hightower. Even worse, I can't fuck with you. Not even a green. You're a Hightower. I don't care who you are. I want you all eliminated." Mind you, Gwaine has no beef with you. You have no beef legitimately with Gwaine. And he has Corlys literally standing next to him that's on your team being like, okay, as Hand of the King, I'm telling you, this is the deal. This is the deal to be made. And this is the deal that should be made. And he said, let me humiliate you like a little bitch because that's what I do. Which is why he almost got killed at the end of the episode. Let me tell you something. I've been waiting. I have been waiting for, like, when certain things happen, that's book spoiler, I want to feel a moment of sadness, but I will probably feel celebration when Daemon dies. And that is really all down to the fact that Daemon is a psychopath. And I feel like he's inflated as something that he's not by a lot of people. Like, he's this deeply honorable warrior, and everything we've seen from him has shown that when the going gets tough and he can't solve it with a sword, he has nothing. And if maybe that's all you need to think a character is all that in a bag of chips, then yeah, he delivers. Absolutely. But every time I see him, I just see a raving megalomaniac white haired bastard who literally killed some kids this episode. Now I'm not gonna hold him wholly responsible for killing the kids. What am I saying? I do say he's not the only person. And the reason why I think they showed children so prominently this episode is actually one of the few things I really liked, even though it was really sad and really tragic, is that children are often left out of these stories. I mean, they act like battles happen and there's not children involved all the time. There are little boys, particularly between the ages of 10 and 13. And if you're in a town and it's under siege, yes, guess what happens? Everyone dies. Like, you know, all those Alexander the Great stories and other things and how they razed the cities to the ground and we all go, yeah, we give them all these monikers. We never think about how they just killed like probably 300 children. A whole bunch of women ain't got shit to do with anything. A whole bunch of old people who didn't even want to fight, not soldiers. It's never a good thing to raise a city to the ground, but he wanted to go in there and take care of business. Like, that's why I say inconsistent, because while they had that little bit of moment of, no, David wouldn't do the kids, David has been promoting the entire season to burn the city to the ground. He don't fuck about them kids. He has been promoting child murder for 2 seasons straight. Okay. He didn't even regret when he messed up and killed the wrong kid, the wrong person. So please do not give me a scene being like, oh, he cares. Like, no, he would not. And don't try to sell me on a story that's not true, because it's not. Whether they're sitting in front of him or not, that should not matter. He was going to kill every single last person. He tends to do it for the rest of the world. So you cannot give me a scene with kids, get out of the way. Caraxus needs to blow down the door. Oh no, I have your casualty of war. See, he did have a heart. No, he didn't. I would have preferred that scene if he just literally killed those kids. And then I'm like, yes, finally show the motherfucker for who he is. That's why I said I like Orman better in characterization, even though he's a villain, because he's actually consistently written as the piece of shit and not trying to play these games that really organically that character would not do. Not saying I don't think he's absolutely heartless. I don't know if that's true though, because as soon as I say that, I keep going back to his own commentary. So yeah, and it was even in this finale. And she had to tell him, please, Jesus, do not at all make me look like a monster. So I can imagine Rhaenyra's face when she get the reports from Tumbleton.
What did I say?
So that's Damon. He was there. I don't like that he was at Tumbleton either. I don't like that he was at Tumbleton. And the reason why I don't like is for a lot of things that are going to happen in season 4. And yeah, there's certain things that at the end of this episode, I was like, it was a finale though. And it was a good season. So I'm not going to give too much shit on that. But yeah, as far as something like the narration on that, like, I wish they didn't end with Caraxes chasing. I wanted them to end with his face when he looked around and realized, oh yeah, this is the shit I was promoting for 2 seasons. So here's what it looks like. Like, I would prefer that. Like, if you're going to do something with Damon, you're going to have him have whatever. Because I felt like Damon always came in as a villain in the book. And then he kind of gradually made his way to a better character due to his relationship with Nettles. Not one I thought was ever sexual. I didn't read it as sexual because I don't like Mushroom. But yeah, I thought that was something that endeared him. Not made him a better person, endeared him. But right now, I feel as if they're being very inconsistent on when and how they want to endear him. Yeah, I was a bad dad. I'm gonna tell that to one child and not the other one who I've been actually in closer proximity to and who just lost her fiance. But I'm not gonna give her any words of comfort or understanding, or maybe, hey, I just had this conversation with Raina. Maybe I should go have another one with my other daughter. Then they had that one scene from the behind the scenes where he was hugging his children. So yeah, no, that's on y'all. Y'all messed that up. Y'all could have endeared him in a certain way, but they've done everything to solidify that he is not to be endeared. But I thought if they would have left the scene where he almost got killed by Roxton, and then he turned around and looked at what a burned city would look like, you know, what he's been promoting, like, oh, okay, here's the idea, here's the reality. I think the combination of that and the fact that his daughter, if we hadn't even had that resolved this season, I actually really don't think we needed that resolved this season. I think the whole thing with Raina and her being like, ooh, that really irritated the shit. I don't even want to talk about Raina. We want to talk about Raina because if I talk about Raina, I'll start ranting about Nettles. And there's a lot of people that's trying to tell me that Nettles is not that important and she's not that big. You can have your subjective opinion about Nettles, but please do not tell me that I have no right to feel upset about my own opinion about Nettles and her importance to the story. Respect is a two-way street. So please stop putting that out there that she's not that important to things. I think she was very important for me. I thought she was a representation of something we've never seen once or again within Game of Thrones, which is a marginalized brown female character who ends up charming, but also becoming one of the last few dragon riders who walked away with a dragon after the dance. And who, like, just her being there, the representation of that. Yeah, you had the marginalization, I guess, with Hugh and Ulf. I can give it there, but they're both men. And I think what's different too is the way that Nettles grew up. Like there was an assimilation for me in the book that there was an animalistic nature that attracted her to Sheepstealer and Sheepstealer to her. And even though and that's why she appealed to his base need to simply, because anybody could have fed an animal sheep, right? Like I feel like that was kind of put out there, but you know, you have to read between the context sometimes in a book. And that's how I read between the context. It's like, yeah, I just put out sheep. That seems so very simple, but I do think it's more of this, the way she was, the kind of this ferocious base type of person. But she was also headstrong and confident. And there was just something, so much you could have given in this characterization. So to combine that with Raina, who already has her own damn story, one about soft feminine power, by the way, that has never been utilized in this season thus far, maybe the exception of Allison in season 1, would have been great to see. She has a story also that I thought, man, if you wanted to actually divert it and be like, okay, Raina doesn't do much in the books, let's give her an actual story and not Nettles that is a whole other person. Because when you take away the foundation, you take away Nettles. You cannot have the foundation of Nettles and be Nettles. You cannot have the foundation of growing up privileged in the Targaryen household, being someone who, you know, was just waiting for a dragon to hatch. It turns out that's common in the Targaryen household, at least with Daemon and his bloodline. Yeah, all of that is a completely different setup to Nettles, which is why it never worked. And I think the majority of people know it didn't work for those exact reasons. And so we could have actually messed around with her because there is another book spoiler. Okay, this ain't that big of a book spoiler, but she does end up marrying a Hightower in way after the dance. Like Raina survives, like way after. Like she actually has kids, 6 of them, 5 or 6 of them. I think it was 6 kids. So the idea in this episode that they were playing around with the idea of Darren and Raina as a match. I'm not saying that's what I want. I'm not saying that's what should happen. I thought we could have done something starting with her trying to find a familiar. Am I saying the right word here? No, because familial is family. A marital, thank you, brain. A marital match to try to, and she was off somewhere trying to find that marital match. And it would have gotten her closer to, because there is something that happens, but whatever. I think there was a lot of other things they could have given her other than Neto's storyline. I just don't think it worked. Or she could have also been playing a little bit more of the Game of Thrones. Like, I feel like there was no character in this series thus far other than Laris, and it's been a while since even Laris been Larasine, where we had someone who was actually, playing a lot of different or pulling a lot of different strings. And I thought it would have been really, really, really cool if Rhaena started off as someone who's like really hung up on her dragon, thinking she's not shit without her dragon, discovers that, there is this other type of power that we wield called political power. And she actually was the only one on Team Black that was utilizing that political power and bringing it to the council. I think that's where she would have been better served in this entire story. That's just me, though. That's just which would have made it way easier for later on for certain things to happen, and why she would have been primed to be the person to solidify that thing that needed to happen that happens later on. And it also would continue the birth of another dragon that apparently doesn't get a birth, called Morningstar. Morningstar is a canon dragon and is a dragon alive for a very long time after the dance. And honestly, is one of the many reasons that the Targaryens still, even after all the shit they put the realm through, maintain a certain dominant level of power. So that's what I need to say about all of that. Let's go to Alicent and her character is. We need to have her kill her kids. Can someone explain this? I know her kids ain't shit. Shit. Right? I can see, I can follow the logic of, you know what, Rhaenyra? I have regrets. Maybe I have regrets on how I could have done things differently. Now, I won't go, because I'll be here for 3 hours if I go deeply into Alicent and her character. So we're going to stay on season 3. But I can understand if she was like, look, okay, you got to kill Aegon because he's a threat to the throne. She knows what kind of person he is. He was a terrible person. I mean, this is a boy that had kids fighting each other, which is why it's really hard to actually have empathy or be the one that's going in the room saying you have empathy for Aegon, because everybody looks at you like you're crazy or, something's wrong with you. Like, you just put up a whole bunch of, like, we ain't trying to even hear that shit. Even if you have points, we ain't hearing that shit. Because like I said, sometimes when you put up a team, you're not allowed to think critically anymore about another character. But I can see where she might say, okay, I tried with this boy. I got him the throne. Even when I got him the throne, he still fucked it up. All right, this is a necessary thing I might need to throw away. Aemon scares the shit out of me. Scares the shit out of everybody. He needs to be taken care of. I will say the whole Aemon scares the shit out of me thing, other than him killing his brother, I really never saw him as nearly as just Daemon would scare me more than Aemon. Aemon just seemed, and even from what I remember in season 2, he just came off like, no, Mom, I don't want you to be on the council anymore. And that's not the same as fear, but sure, that was a story they were telling in the writer's room that never made it to the screen, which just seems to be a lot. But okay, sure. Aemon is a terrible person. He tried to kill his own family. Actually, that is terrible. That is a crime that they call it fratricide. So technically, if anybody had found out that Aemon killed his brother, he would have been killed anyway. No, maybe he wouldn't have. Because Jaime wasn't killed and he was a kinslayer. So yeah, he just would have been named a kinslayer. Nobody would have fucked with them. Sure, I could toss this out. But yeah, you did try to kill my other child. And you was like being a little too weird with my other more beloved child, Helena. So yeah, okay, you gotta go. You gotta go. You guys gotta go. You gotta get off the board. Fine. I was like following that logic. Do we need to have her do it? Oh, sure. Okay, fine. I really don't like it. I don't think I ever liked it, but sure. I'm trying to work with what you're giving me show. But then this season they just said, nah, fuck all them kids. Oh, what was this? Can we at least have her struggle? Like, I feel like it somewhere it could have been like she was struggling. Like, I don't want to do this. And there wouldn't have been much. Like, her telling, like, knowing what you have to do and living with what you have to do are two separate things. So I think in her private moments, particularly with Helena, I would have liked a little bit more of all, like, of her wrestling with the idea that she sacrificed two of her children. Like, it actually held weight with her. And I think this is why people do struggle with like, I don't, because I can see it, because I see the mask and the personas that she puts out there. But for those that are not, as nuance inclined, it is kind of harder to see a character that is not even showing that in their private moments, oh, my children are going to die. There's going to be some sadness about me, about that decision, that hard decision I had to make. They gave her none of that. They've said, no, she doesn't need that anymore. They gave her another sexual assault scene, which in the long run served no purpose. None. She tried to sneak her daughter out of the castle when she found out that Helena was pregnant. I'm glad she did not sneak the moon tea into her tea to make her get rid of that baby, because it is her choice and she is an adult. Even if that's a bad choice, I understand why she would make that choice, but I don't. Yeah, I think Helena unfortunately wanted the hope of it. But then where we landed with that's why the pregnancy story just does not work for me. That's not a replacement for Maylor. It's not. It's not. It would have been better if you showed Helena struggling also. It was like, for some reason, the Greens weren't allowed to be people. And that's where I have a problem with their characterizations and how they're writing them. Because they're just season 1 and 2, I felt like they're more and more progressively, they were erasing all of their humanity. And I'm not sure why that was. Why do we have beef with them on that side of things? Like, we saw all of the reasons why Rhaenyra is about to turn into the Mad Queen, and it's so understandable that, like, we're with you. Like, there's still empathy. I have less, but there's still some empathy about why her mind would fracture at this moment in time. Absolutely. I get it. And you're showing me the suffering that she's went through. All you're showing to me is that Alicent continues to be hypersexualized by absolutely everyone. And you're putting it out there like, and she just deals with it. And she accepts it. There's someone else who made a comment on another podcast that I listened to that said, and I don't know if this is true or not, so don't shoot the messenger, that she was written like a conservative MAGA woman. And I think that also might lead to people feeling, well, I'm not MAGA, so I have to hate Alicent. Man, my God, sometimes humanity makes you want to punch yourself in the face with their logical thinking. But yes, I do believe a lot of people do probably heard that, was like, that makes a whole lot of sense, and immediately cut off all critical thinking skills to understand anything else about the character, which is a shame, because I think she's written, or was written anyway, and still is to a certain extent. You just have to really, like I said, you have to do the most of the work, because the show doesn't want to do any work anymore. They don't want to show. They just want to show and not tell. Show and not tell, because we don't get to see her struggles. We don't get to see how it hurts her that her children are still out there, and you are in the castle of the two people that are hunting them. Right? Because it's one moment to have that moment where you're like, okay, I know what needs to be done. This is what I'm going to do. It's another thing, shit didn't even go to plan. And now all of your children, including Darren, is now on the board to be taken out. And you are helpless to do it. You don't even see her struggling with that decision? Come on now. That's an insult. It's an insult to her characterization. But yeah, she tries to get Helena out the castle, makes that small, somewhat not even really relevant deal with Mysaria, saying, don't say anything to the queen. Queen finds out 2 seconds later. What was the point? Maybe because they're going to probably have Mysterio with Allison next season, and they're going to probably be a little bit more vengeful. Not wanting that, but I do feel as if, yeah. And then she goes to, and other than being continually being hypersexualized, even by her own children, she goes to Harrenhal and has to poison her son herself. And she doesn't even wait around to see if he's dead, because why would she? She can't even believe she did it. But she's such in a panic and so concerned about Helena, who she's prioritized, that she can't think about it. It's like, I wish, again, if you have those moments where you would see that, we could have even had it in the finale. They gave her one moment in the finale, one damn moment for her to recognize that her child is probably dead. But there could have been at least an extra scene showing of her being like, oh my God, in a panic. What did I do? Needing to be calmed down. Her having a scene in the woods with the Kingsguard where she's debating and she's freaking out and she's just, it's too much. And she finally reaches her point, and then she looks up and then she sees the butterflies. Do you not understand how much better that scene would be? And it serves everything, and it takes 5 minutes. I think that's also what's bothering me. Some of this is not like rocket science. It would take literally 2 to 3 additional sentences in the same scene to make the same impact. And it's not being utilized. But you spent a whole 8 to 15 minutes on Eamon fantasizing about fucking his mother. Or the Veil Woman. Because let's be real. While I love that actress that plays the Veil chick, is she Jane Aaron? I think it's Jane. What was she supposed to do? What's her purpose? What? I'm serious. For the overall, I have a time crunch and I need to serve the story that I'm serving. Why was she here? If someone has a reason, please let me know. I don't put it down below because I don't have an email yet. I got to get all that shit set up. But please let me know, because I don't. I genuinely don't know what her purpose was. Is there anything else I need to say to Alice that I'm not going to say in a whole dissertation? Not much. The same with Rhaenyra. I don't want to go too deeply because I think these characters deserve like seriously 2 hours each to talk about everything they've been through. And I think I kind of want to do it when I feel like doing it. Right now is definitely not the time I feel like doing it. So with Rhaenyra, like I said, her biggest issue is I want the crown, but I don't know how to do the job. And believe it or not, your birthright is not going to secure you your right in that job. I can point to history and tell you that there are plenty of people who were heir to the throne and didn't make it on the throne, and people who made it on the throne were not on the throne for very long, because there's always another option. And when when you don't do your job, that other option is explored. So all she really had to do, instead of fucking around trying to find Aemon and Aegon, and yes, I get those were things that you needed to do. That was the only point that Daemon was making. What you really need to focus on is the job that you were given. I understand you were fucked up the ass by them taking all the money, but that's why you should have thought about killing Otto. Like, I get Daemon said you needed to do it as a show of strength. I understand that, but when you get shit that easy, no, you get to sit and play. This is just my opinion. But when you get stuff this easy, you need to like wait and settle and be like, wait a minute, hold on, because life is never this easy, and I need to make sure that all my bases are covered. And we all know that 2 people ran this kingdom, and one of them you locked up and you really can't be your counselor, and the other one you could have locked up but made a counselor. And I think he would have gave it to you. I think he would, because I wanted Otto to die. Like, I don't feel any regret about his death. I think he needed to die. I think how she killed him, though, was the wrong opportunity to kill him. Like, she should have propped up Otto in front of the small folk and killed him officially. Officially. Right? She's all about this legitimacy shit. That's because you rolled up in the castle on an insidious plan. That's why everybody's confused about your legitimacy, Because you didn't do anything out in the open other than giving people stuff and being like, hey, you remember me? I give you food. Well, you gave about 25 people food because that truck ran out, and now there's like 15,000 of us still starving. Like, the PR moves were cute, but they didn't solve anything. Even the money she got from the vet, like the taxes, the whole time he kept saying, can we just impose a tax? All you have to do is impose a tax. Why can't you say yes or no? What's wrong with your mouth? But this is what happens when you get a whole bunch of decisions and you have that thing called decision paralysis. I know, I suffer from it. And I think she just didn't know what to do. She got stuck in her perfectionism because she really wanted to be her father, but she was naive about naive about who her father was and was not. And this is the part where I think she's always slept on and that's the irony of the whole situation, right? Despite the fact that Allison never got close to the crown and could be queen. So yeah, there were things she could have done that a better ruler, a more adept ruler, a person who even had an inkling on how to rule would have easily been able to take care of. There's the comparison that, she was so behind. But this is the thing. There is no conquest without you going in there and needing to rebuild. Like, that is something kings do and need to have. Like, they don't lead those armies into battle to conquer the thing that they're trying to conquer, to go in there and expect it to be pristine. Like, no way. No way does that ever happen. Most of them do have their resources depleted. Most of them do have people that are a whole bunch of crises that are happening at the same time. You have to have the skill set, something you never were taught or decided to teach yourself because you was playing house. I don't want to simplify you in that manner, but you were playing house. You were being happy, living the fantasy of the possibility of this future that you've been thinking about with Damon, and y'all been more in the bubble of the dream than the reality. Because neither one of you considered for 5 seconds that you might need more people than just this one pledge that was done literally 15 years ago. As if people didn't change, households didn't change. I get it. People pledge to you. But I think that it'd be so silly. Like, I really want to stay on everybody should be about their word, but their word is only based on how good you are. Like, I can give you my word, but if all you doing is terrible things that are making my life miserable, well, then I'm gonna have to think about this thing called myself and my life and what's best for me or the realm, not just this pledge I made to you. I made a pledge to a person. I made a pledge to an idea. I made a pledge to a possibility. What else with Rhaenyra? But Rhaenyra was fucking up all season. Like, everybody keeps saying once she got to King's Landing, everything went down. She was messing up with Jace. This is why Jace killed himself. I know, not a popular thing to say for a dead boy to be like, how can you be accountable for your own death? But he was. He was. But she also kind of has the blame for this. I'm sorry. Because he was announcing for literally 2 seasons straight, I'm in full rebellious mode, and I feel deeply, deeply, deeply insecure by the stain of bastardy that is attached to me, and you're setting me up as heir to your throne, a throne I am legally not allowed to inherit. What the fuck did you think was going to happen? And then he kept even trying to bring it up with her. Like, you got to address the bastardy. And there is the option that she could have legitimized them or delegitimized them, put them somewhere. They could have had a good life, everything they ever wanted, and propped up her and Damon's kids. And you best believe she wouldn't have had no problems. I believe this fully. She would not have had no problems. But let me bring it to Westerosi law. So in Westerosi law, unacknowledged or unlegitimized bastards have no legal right to inherit property, titles, or the Iron Throne. The only exception is if a royal decree or a king's formal act of legitimization places them into the legal line of succession. Now, that is what I think people are saying or leaning to, like, oh, well, because Corlys didn't. But that's not the same thing. I don't think that's the same thing, because she is presenting those kids as if they're laners. So no, he actually did not legalize them. Not to mention, what is stopping Rhaenyra from legalizing them at this moment? Because she would have to admit that they were bastards, and we know she can't say the word. She cannot say the word. Because if she does, then she has to continue on that train of thought and go to the kids that she has with Damon, because they are, in fact, bastards. Like, Lena might be dead now, but they were conceived in bastardy, because that's a bigamy of a marriage. Now, I don't know about Westeros, because he did have 2 wives. Aegon the Conqueror, they were sister wives, but they were 2 of them. But how legal and binding that was, I don't know. But I have a feeling the Faith of the Seven would lose their shit. As they did in this episode. The guy lost his head. I thought she was going to actually cut his hand, which that would have been, I don't know, book accurate. But yeah, no, just kill the guy. You had all of like, that to me really didn't make sense, Condor. Okay, come on now. Like, that was literally set up to give it to the book, and it was like you just said, yeah, it'd just be easier to kill him. It'd just be easier to kill him. Come on. You said character. It was all there. All you had to do was chop his fucking hand off or his arm off. I don't get it. It's almost like at that moment I just felt like you were being you were kind of just being a shit for no reason, because there's just no justification why that man died, because of what it precipitates next. And so yeah, I'm moving on. So yeah. And that's the thing. She would have started a battle of the bastards. And the thing of it is, if you had to legalize this bastard, then why would we choose these legalized bastards over? And they're strong boys. They're not even Targs. I mean, they are Targs because half their mom. But yeah, they wouldn't have made it. I believe this with everything in my soul. I'm sorry. They would not have made it. They wouldn't have. If they ever got into court, like all of them growing up, they've been hearing it the rest of their lives, and they eventually might have actually ended up hating their mother. Because I think Jace definitely was feeling some kind of way. I think he loved his mother, but I think she was completely oblivious, this is my opinion, on the fact that he was deeply starting to resent her for the bastardry that was his birthright now. And while he had addressed it when he was younger, like, oh, I just love you the way I loved you, he kept bringing it up. And she gave him really no reassurance. And she kept trying to keep him. And then but at the same time, Jace was a teenager. Jace was a teenager. He needed a firm mother to set the boundaries where they needed to be set. And those boundaries, I think those lines got a little crossed. Maybe, just maybe, she should have brought Damon in to bring in some discipline with him. But I do feel as if Rhaenyra, as a mother myself, that you saw your child being that reckless in his desire to prove himself and his desire to, like, you should have been locking him in the room. He should have never had the opportunity, not to mention that your Kingsguard didn't even let you out. And that also showed that even though he was a bastard and the heir, he somehow had more power than she, the queen, which is another weird thing that is so weird about that scene. I would have just liked it better if he just went off the war and it didn't need to happen, because there's a lot of scenes that I feel like happened and didn't need to happen. So I didn't have to watch Rhaenyra. That was the funniest Massario look of the entire season, was her watching Rhaenyra crash out over that thing. Like, they want me to be a man, and I'm a man. And I'm like, dude, anytime you have to announce yourself like that, it's not, no. Like, I get she's just being emotional in that moment. No, I definitely crash out. Do what you're wanting to do. But this is someone you have not known very long. This is your master of whisperers. Okay. And what you're throwing a tantrum about is the fact that nobody sees me as serious. Well, there's something you can do about that. And taking a knife to your uniform that you thought that would make you look very authoritarian, authoritative, like that. No, that's like a dead giveaway to your insecurity. That's why her giving that speech to the townsfolk, that they were up there looking at her like, what is this bitch talking about? Because I ain't heard nothing about no food coming my way. I heard nothing about things getting better. All I hear is someone in full battle armor with no battles around us. None. So one, you're announcing yourself as an authoritarian. By putting yourself in battle armor, you're setting the mindset of how you intend to handle them as you announce yourself in High Valerian, mind you, that they do not speak about how you are the anointed and chosen one to save everybody about an event. You're talking about the prophecy as if that shit was not supposed to be locked down between father and son. Like Viserys be like looking from the grave, like, what the fuck is she doing? Is privileged information. You just telling everybody. Everybody. You better be glad nobody else speak High Valyrian because you just told everybody. But you don't even, you just, why would and this is the thing that I think a lot of politicians mix. No one cares about the future when the past is today or when the present is now and the suffering is now. Who cares about the suffering in a faraway future, even maybe a close future? Or you can even say 3 months now, the White Walkers are going to show up. What's that got to do with me starving today? all you're doing is making people more nihilistic when you do stuff like that because people don't care. They don't have the wherewithal to care about a possibility of a future that could be a threat versus the immediate threat. I'm starving now. I'll be dead tomorrow if I don't eat. Who cares about if the Walkers are coming in 3 months, which we all know they're not. Which makes it even more insane. But I love that speech. That was top tier performance of a speech. I love that she was in the outfit because that just added to the whole aura that she was getting. I was like, oh girl. Like to me, if I had to pick what she's representing the epicenter of white privilege. That is what she represents to me. She has it all. She's been given it all. Her daddy has protected her from everything. And now she has nobody. And she got Damon. But even he is like, how much can you actually count on Damon? But yeah, no. I think to me that summed up everything about what she was. Like that speech, if I was in that crowd and I heard that speech, I was like, so when's Akon showing back up? Because clearly some stuff, like everything she did was like she delegitimized her own reign technically in this, like, because you got to be anointed. You do got to be anointed by high step. You cannot avoid being anointed by the high step. You may get someone else to do it, but you didn't. You just killed a man and walked out. So you still ain't anointed. You're going to bring your son out. Your son who looked like he literally has Stockholm syndrome. Little Joffrey. Has Stockholm syndrome. He's just a witness. Which I kind of do love for what I know in the book about this character. No, not him. Wait, is it him? No, it's not him. No, is it him? No, I forgot the kids' names. I forget all their kids' names because there's too many of the same names. I hope this is the one that we're thinking of. That's the one. I think so, though. That's gonna, yeah. All right. Book spoiler stuff. But yeah, if that's the same kid that's gonna see something else, then I do like the fact that they introduced him right when his mother's going batshit insane. And it really will explain why he has the life that he has. And why he's the way he is, because in a lot of ways, what was the saving grace that gave Rhaenyra was the fact that she was a great mother, or she was definitely a much more emotionally present and loving mother to her children than Alicent ever was. I want to say that she decided that she has put up she's emotionally distancing herself from her children, the same way she emotionally distanced herself from Helena when she died, which we all knew. Like when I saw that dream sequence last episode, I was like, yep, she dying in the finale. That was my exact words. She dying in the finale. That wasn't even book spoilers. That was just forecast since like the beginning of the season that she was going to die. I think that dream sequence, a lot of people took as, oh, she's going to have the baby. She's going to do all this. This is what she sees in the future. And because they were showing it from that POV as well, that's also where I was like, oh no, she's going to die. And I think these are all, I don't like to try to decipher dragon dreams because they're not meant to be deciphered. But from what I thought was presented was some things that are probably going to happen. Like I think that we're going to see a scene of the storming of the dragon pit, and that we are going to see Dreamfire, because why make her up only to show her once? But on the other hand, mainly I think for her, she was sifting through those memories or in those dreams and was kind of seeing all of the possible like timelines, kind of like in, to use any timeline show where, you know, you have these points where things can decide. You can go this way, you can go that way, you can create a new timeline here, new timeline there, new timeline there. But all of her fates that she was looking at all ended in her doom. And I think that was the purpose of those particular things. Like, yeah, she could have the baby, but it's going to be taken away. Yes, she can go on Dreamfire, but it's going to be destructive and a lot of people are going to die. Yes, she can go raise chickens on the farm and have this fantasy, but that fantasy is just that. That's why the dark clouds kept coming for her, because even if she got what she wanted, it still would never happen because she was always meant to die. And the reasons why she died, though, I think they could have done a lot more with that. I think Helena's story was also one that was shortchanged because after the death of her son, autistic or not, and I think it's actually an insult, deeply insulting, actually, because the number one thing that is spoken about autism, as someone who is autistic, that autistics do not have emotions. So to play an autistic to perpetrate an autistic character and show her not being emotional, I thought was a huge miss. A huge miss. And in the books, she was very, very, very torn up about her children, and why we can't write her as torn up about her children, I don't know. Maybe someone has an answer for me. I can't see why there isn't an answer for that. I get that there weren't 2 children, it was only 1, but still. Actually, no, she has 2 children. She had 3. She has another daughter. There's so much to be taken into consideration when you do have a storyline where a person commits suicide. Right? She was not only pregnant, which is kind of like a sign of new life, which a lot of people would end up, you know, keeping themselves alive for no other benefit than that child's life. Even like I said, they gave the kind of scene that the child would have been taken away, but who says no to say it would have been killed? It would have, but but yeah, I don't know. It wasn't even emphasized nearly as much. And then they had the whole force feeding of Helena. And sure, that may have distressed her, but more so than anything else that's happened in her life. Like, it was lackluster. It was lackluster on what led up to her committing suicide. So unfortunately, I felt sad for it happening, but I felt no true emotional weight behind it happening because I didn't see like, oh my God, she's suffering. Like she was sitting there like, did this person make you feel better about Jace? Like, fucked. This is the woman that no matter what the misunderstandings were, your husband Damon was responsible for the death of my child and he is in this fucking castle. What? You cannot just make a character that unaware of that happening. Come on. She was not that together. So yeah, I don't like what they did with Helena. I think that she was a tragic character. She was the only good character, the pure character in the entire show, with the exception of Darren. I think as she leaves, he'll be around for the Greens in season 4 to continue on having one pure character. But yeah, I think they dropped the ball with her. They dropped the ball for the minute Blood and Cheese happened by giving her nothing. So yeah, thanks for showing me a death, bringing up a couple of scenes. Maybe that was enough for other people. That may have been. Maybe they didn't want to see her deep in depression and actually feeling the things that we're feeling scene to scene with her. But I didn't. I wasn't feeling all of the things scene to scene with her. And I think the Battle of Tomatin was great. I think I have no problem with the Roddy and the Wolves. I love the fact that they showed that children and women are often collateral damage in these things. I like that Roddy took out Orman. I'm glad he did, actually. I think it would have been, I don't know. I'm glad for some reason I did not see a Damon, since he wasn't even supposed to be there, fight with Orman. Like, that was the one smart thing they did. Like, I won't say one smart, because actually I thought the battle was done really well. I didn't have any complaints about the battle. I'm glad that he got taken out by Roddy. There was some controversy of him killing the kid with was it a stick or a knife? I don't know if it was a stick or a knife. I don't think it matters. I don't think less of, like, people are like, oh, if you criticize a character, that must mean you need to defend the character. No, that's not necessary. You can still like a character and they still warrant criticism. And Roddy, I like Roddy because he's a warrior. Like, he was gonna kill anyone. It didn't matter if he was a kid, a woman, a man. He was gonna, if you presented himself like a combatant, he was gonna take you down like a combatant. You know, same thing with Damon and the kids at the door. I need to get through this door, and you're standing in front of it, so I gotta kill you. What I do like about those scenes is that there is less of a care of seeing them as children versus combatants, which is kind of playing into the theme of, you know, a lot of these people that they're going after are actually lightweight kids in every sense of the word, towards the much older, much more seasoned adults. And there's something to be said about that. I think that's a through line somewhere that I've picked up on. But yeah, I don't hate Roddy because he killed that kid. But yeah, am I gonna look at it and be like, yeah, you did the right thing, Roddy? No, I'm gonna look at you like, yeah, because everybody was like, well, the kid shouldn't have started something. I'm sorry, what? That kid was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Because two things. These people are coming in to take this town, which makes you what? Collateral damage. So you have to defend yourself whether or not you wanted that fight or you did not want that fight. Yes, he could have sat there and not let that man walk by. But that man could have then came back and killed him and his friends later. So he thought he had an opportunity. Yes, I do expect, forgive me for being this way, but I do expect the adult in the room to be like, this kid is scared. This kid is a kid. This kid is doesn't mean that they can't still cause damage, because we all know in the real world that kids are utilized to be suicide bombers, right? And they intentionally send them to lines being like, they're not going to kill this kid, and they got to kill the kid because the kid's carrying a bomb, right? Or they think it. But the thing of it is, the tragedy of it really is what I think they were saying, more so than what Roddy did or what Damon did, is that these kids are fodder regardless. They don't have the wherewithal to be a combatant. You can't say he's a combatant. He didn't sign up for this. No, he's either defend his home. He might even actually be wanting to defend his home, because for all he knows, I was sitting here chilling and these motherfuckers are outside the gate, right? You just assume people fight things for political reasons. No, they also fight for this thing called to survive. That's another valid reason why people fight or would defend themselves. And yeah, the kid didn't need to do it. But again, what was he supposed to do? Like, he could cower, but that's not what men are taught to do, even from that young fucking age, which is sad. That's that toxic masculinity, because I would have been like, hide your ass in the cellar. And it does speak horrible about, like I said, I love the fact that it also emphasized Orman's villainy. He's like, yeah, I'm going to definitely use kids as shields. Absolutely. Because that's what villains do. What else do I want to say? I'm sorry I got fired. She kind of needed to get fired, though. Girl, you the master of whispering shit, except trying to split up a marriage. You trying to literally Maury this shit. I'm sorry. I didn't think she had a point. I don't think she had a purpose. I don't dislike her character. I just don't know what the point of it is, because it wasn't worthwhile. That's what it wasn't. It wasn't. I thought that Lady Jane, that's what her name is, Jane. I thought Lady Jane was going to be the one starting the rumors in the Vale to try to go to get her get back at Damon for what happened to her kin back in the day. But alas, Masari is here. Now she got fired. She said, that's kind of rude, though. This plays into what Bayla said, even though she also was not a character this season, other than to sit there and share looks. and to be impromptu kissing her cousin, her uncle. I don't even know. Don't know. But you knew that man for 2 seconds and you kissed him, and they showed not one even sweet kid kiss between her and Jace. That's some disrespectful shit right there. Like, she don't even know that man. And they was all kissing on each other and she's already thinking about more with him. And she was flirting with Adam. I know she was a flirt in the book and they may have been trying to say something about that, but that became a whole thing. And that was the end of her story. Like I said, I think there was too many characters to service, which means that the ones that did not need to be serviced should not have been on the board. Give them 1-2 lines, let them go. Let them be there, but let them go. Like, I don't know. The minute y'all should have known y'all had 8 episodes, I would have been changing my plans. But yeah, she had sex with her the previous night and then said, "You're on your way to Pentos. I don't need you anymore." Someone said it's because she didn't want to have the good person on her side anymore. I'm like, I don't think so. I think she put her firmly back in the place that she had always been placing her. Like she was always the backup, make me feel good like Damon. That's who she was. That's what Sylvie, the lady, came in and announced herself. Like, you think you're better than these people. You are literally still the mistress. That they said over Whispers was being actually a little they was having fun with you when they made you master of mistress of the Whispers, because you was only really mistress. And the fact that you fucked her and her husband and both of them treated you like shit, sorry, you actually should have known better. But she did start off working for the Hightower, so it's not like she don't got that rapport. I would have preferred it if after she saw the crash out and Damon come back, like after the first couple of times that she tried in the council, and then she was like, wait a minute, I'm an adult. Like she's always been for the small folk, right? And so I always felt like she was a little bit smarter. And then she became Rhaenyra's love interest, and there went all her agency. But I do feel as if she was someone that probably would look at Rhaenyra and immediately go, wait a minute, I've worked most of my entire career with Otto Hightower. I know what responsibility in an adult looks like. This is not it. Gets to the council meeting, does 2 of them, and like, okay, she would have been better served as someone in the background for Alicent, a lot more heavier than they played it. And I would have liked that. Like, let me, like, Mysaria coming to Alicent being like, Rhaenyra, you can't talk to her, but I can talk to her. And then them being kind of in a way, right? Because they are at the joint from Otto. It was only after something happened that she decided to turn and go to the other team with the Team Black. Or no, was that? I thought it was after. Oh, God, I can't keep up with Mysaria and her changing sides. I really can't. I think it was one event happened, but yeah, no, terrible. What else do we need to say? I think we said all we need to say, and this has been 2 hours. So yeah, if you've got comments, put it below. This is probably just going to go out in the universe because no one's going to listen to me for 2 hours, but it got a lot off my chest that I didn't feel like typing up. So I am happy about that. Until the next time, my loves, peace out.